It's just gone 7:30 Central African Time. Hello, Dumalag Guyanat Sani Bonani. My name is Bob O'Connor. Welcome to Spain. It's the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. It is race number 24 on the Tier 1 race calendar. This is, of course, top tier of Breakaway League racing. And after this, there is, of course, the missed track. That was France, which will be dived into with, well, immediacy, if you will. As you can see, the grid is forming up, and thanks to the continuing issues with load shedding, some drivers unfortunately cannot make it. But it's quite interesting to see the likes of the 86er here, and Romeo Massigo, aka Mandla, as well as Spy Zozo, because of course these are the drivers, these are the players that have something at stake as far as possible relegation is concerned, and they desperately need points out here to these guys, and Tindo might just be mired or drawn into a potential playoff spot here. So there's a lot to watch as far as the promotion relegation battle is concerned, and we'll keep you updated with all of those permutations and ramifications as the race goes along. But we have a long way to go before we get to that race, which will be 33 laps around this circuit. Before then, of course, this being the top tier of Breakaway League racing, we will have a full qualifying session, and we do hope that more drivers can join us, and we could have a fuller grid before we well and truly kick things off as far as this qualifying session is concerned. And Fundo is here, Tindo is here, the 86er, aka Galalatsang, or GT for short, is also here, and Lungs in the Alpines. Good to see him. You know, he has been fairly severely affected by power issues and connection issues in recent races, but of course we do know what he can bring when he turns it on, and when he brings his unique blend of skill and pace. Now, 33 laps of racing we'll have after a full qualifying session, so it's going to be 18 minutes in the Q1, and then we'll have 15 minutes in Q2, and then, of course, the top 10 shootout. The battle for pole position, Q3. Right now is only 10 drivers, which would provisionally be a Q3 shootout, so we do hope that in the course of Q1, and perhaps even, well, definitely in the course of Q1, that we could be joined by a driver or two to make this track a little fuller. Thank you for choosing Breakaway League Racing! Look forward to getting underway in Spain in just a couple of minutes. Spain is definitely an interesting track to round things off as we hurtle towards the end of the top tier season here. It's definitely a track I look forward to seeing. Thoughts and prayers to the drivers up for relegation, says Miss Bono. Good evening to you too, Dini. Yes, Spyzozo is here. Selby is here. Looks like the 86er might have slipped out of the lobby, and he's also under threat. Could possibly be relegated by the end of today if the likes of Romeo and Spyzozo can get a decent haul of points. 18 minutes of qualifying! Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Bienvenido a todos. We have 18 minutes, and we'll see exactly how it all goes over here. Yeah. Yo necesito muy tracción, por favor. Yo necesito a race. Yo necesito drama. We all need a little bit of drama here on track, and, well, it would be beautiful to see. Mispano says, Dini Cooper. Just getting the blessing out early. Mispano with the well wishes. And, well, we'll see exactly if those well wishes turn out well for these drivers. Perhaps the 86er can make it back into the lobby. Looks like the Red Bull. Red Bull is one of the first cars out on track. Is that Caboza? No, it's in fact it's this man, the one and only Zotile, who himself has been definitely under his fair share of pressure throughout this season. Zotile, of course, has been fighting his way out of the relegation spots, and in recent weeks he has been mired in the playoff spots. Zotile, I'm just getting all that information and detail out so I can give you a clear sense of how exactly he has been looking. Well, Zotile is out here. Let's go Red Bull, says Maspano in the comment section. We're going to watch him and see how he fares on his hot lap attempt. He was the first driver out on track. He will be the man to set purple sectors, and we'll hop straight on board to get a sense of what it looks like from his perspective as he's about to take the final chicane. He does, and he is now onto the start-finish straight. Zotile sits P14 as things stand, and he is basically one spot above the playoff spaces. Now, today is all about ensuring that he does not even need playoffs to stay in Tier 1. He comes through that first couple of turns out here in Barcelona, and he is unscathed. Into turn 4, do not be surprised to see purple sectors on the bottom right hand of your screen. Zotile is the first man to set a lap time. Into the left-hander he comes, and he nails that apex pretty much without any incident or issue. It is Zotile here through turn 7, and he is doing not so bad onto the DRS straight over here, and it's going to be a straight push into one of the heaviest braking zones on this track. A little bit wide of the apex there, but not too bad as far as keeping his line is concerned. Now he makes his way through Sector 3, and Zotile, being the first to run, will be the person to set the gauntlet. So what will the time be with 14.5 minutes to go? It's Zotile in the Red Bull. What will it be? Oh, he abandons and invalidates on the final corner, does Zotile. Oh, man, he'll have to give that another go. Meanwhile, let's catch up with Romeo, a.k.a. Mandla, who himself went red on his outlap. But right now, it is, of course, his first lap attempt. And now, Zotile, having failed to set a time, means Esbuda comes into the fray, with a 118.602. Tindo, a whole 2 seconds behind Esbuda there, so Tindo knows definitely some work to do for him for the rest of this day. And I would have you know that this man, Romeo, aka Mandla, has gone quickest through the first sector. So let's see what he can do. Mellow the Mellow, Malusi the Malusi in the comment section. Hopefully you can join us by the time the race starts. Mellow, it would be good to see you out here. It is Romeo, aka Mandla, taking the second sector. He has to kind of watch and go quite heavy on the brakes there, but now he goes into this DRS straight. He opens up that rear wing, as you do, into this heavy braking zone. And let's see how he takes the apex. He's the quickest man through Sector 2, is Romeo, a.k.a. Mandla. So we're potentially on board here with what could be the quickest time, depending on how he does in Sector 3. Of course, this little section of turns that does trip up a couple of drivers, but not me, not Mandla, not Romeo. He is now on the main straight as Mandla, and he will cross the line with a 117.725. Significantly quicker than Caboza with that 118. He's the quickest man by some margin. It's Romeo laying down the initial marker out here, and Tindo is on the verge of crossing the line once again, and his quickest effort is a 119.618. Not good enough for anything other than P5, as the likes of Selby are now out on track, also looking to make their mark and set a decent time out here. Now, Selby is currently P15, I would have you know, which means he is right there. He was currently in a playoff spot. Today for Selby is all about securing a decent haul of points to get out of those playoff positions potentially. He has 55 points. Caboza, beneath Selby, currently has 49 points. All right, let's hop on board with the AlphaTauri driver who's had a topsy-turvy season. Last year was all about stability, but this time the breakaway level has gone up a notch. The level of Tier 1 has gone up significantly, and Selby has struggled to maintain his place in this league comfortably. But what kind of a hot lap will this be? He misses that apex, but I would have you know, despite that, he is the quickest man through Sector 2. Selby looking solid right here in Q1 with 11.5 minutes to go. A little bit of a moment there. He had to let off the throttle a little bit there, so that might cost him a couple of crucial tenths. It's Selby onto the final turn, and he pretty much hits that. It was a penultimate turn, I beg your pardon. He will cross the line with a 118.746. Good enough for P5. For Selby Songo, the Alfa Romeo driver. A lot of work for him to do. Meanwhile, Zotal, we saw him pretty much messed his initial hot lap up at the final turn, and here he comes now towards the heavy braking zone. It's Zotal, and these drivers are surely enjoying that sector too, because Zotal in the Red Bull is the quickest man through that sector. Here he comes now, beginning the third and final sector, where he has to be clinical on the throttle and clinical with the lap time. Clinical, hopefully, to secure his spot among the top runners. He went wide there to the start of that final chicane to Zotal. How many tenths will that cost him? Let's see. He will cross the line, will Zotal, with a 118.498. It's good enough for P3. Meanwhile, Romeo still tops the times here in Q1. It's a 117.725. Romeo Mandla S. Mindlo is currently the only man in the 1 minute 17th. Ha! Mellow the Mellow Lucy's in the comments section, perhaps ruining his missed opportunity to show what he could have done out here. Clay is also out in the comments section. What would he have done if he was here? What would Sisha do? What would Mapapulsi do? What would they all do if they were represented over here? I would have you know that Zotal seems to be carrying on here. It's a second hot lap attempt. It's a consecutive hot lap attempt, it seems, from Zotal, because he's just set the quickest first sector. But that red light is flashing, so I'm not sure if he's gonna. No, he invalidates. That is basically lap abandoned, and we'll just watch Zotal make his way back to the pit lane and see if. See, we've got the likes of Mfundo, Esbuda, currently on their outlaps, and Tindo, and of course, would you look at that, Loveness is here, and Spyzozo, who had yet to set a time, has crashed out in Q1. Spyzozo under pressure to do well here, and he's basically ruled himself out on a diminished field. Spyzozo has crashed out of Q1. He will take no further part in this qualifying section, and I'll tell you what, that is great news for Mandla, who needs pretty much just a solitary point. He needed a solitary point last time out to pretty much knock him or to bump himself on a more positive trajectory as far as points were concerned. So bad news there for Spyzozo. Romeo currently sits neck and neck with Spyzozo on points. Meanwhile, Zotal set that 118.498. I was kind of jumping around on the controllers there, but Zotal is currently in P3, and we're going to catch up with him. Meanwhile, let's hop over to the Aston Martin camp and see how Esbuda is faring. He's well and truly comfortable this season. He currently sits P10 in the driver's standings, and well and truly comfortable is this man. Nothing much to worry about. Esbuda actually has 99 championship points, so he's looking to secure himself triple-digit points finish by the end of today. And, it's not out of the question. He does have pace. He does have skill. It's Esbuda through the final sector, looking to improve on that 118.6. He goes quite heavy onto that curve there. Oh, goes wide in the penultimate corner. Takes the final turn now with the redemption on his mind. And he's a tenth slower as Esbuda, so definitely some work to do for the Aston Martin driver. Let's see how his teammate is fared. Mfundo is currently about a tenth quicker than his previous best time of a 118.582. 7.5 minutes to go. It's the Aston Martin driver. What can he do? He will cross the line. 4 tenths quicker overall than his previous best time. It's good enough for P2. It's a 118.176. Mindlo, S. Mindlo, Romeo is still the benchmark by quite a significant margin. That 117.725 well and truly leaps above the rest of this field. Now, We haven't been aboard with Loveness, and I was switching to him. He crosses the line. He becomes the second man in the 117s. It's Loveness quickest, of course, through Sector 3. Purple Sector 3, it's a 117.987. So just over 2/10 the difference between the time that Romeo had set and this man, Loveness, in the Williams. He's got pace. He has got menace when he's chasing you, and he's been comfortable this season. 116 championship points for Loveness. He sits comfortably in P7 in the Drivers' Championship standings. Now, Tindo, what can you do now? He's actually moving about 7/10 slower, it looks like, as he made his way out of Sector 1. He begins the second sector, eases up on the throttle onto this DRS straight. He opens up that rear wing and sends that car screaming into the heavy braking zone, nails that apex. But quite slow is, of course, as you do. Second gear, and he has a almighty spin and crashes it into the wall. Tindo becomes the second driver to crash out in Q2. Tindo, Alfa Romeo, joining his teammate and giving those Alfa Romeo mechanics a hell of a job before the race gets underway. Both Alfa Romeos are out. They're emulating Lewis and George recently in qualifying by crashing both cars out and giving that Alfa Romeo garage a hell of a lot to do. Tindo is out, and Tindo will fight his way from the back of the grid. Now, let's see how Loveness's teammate, the 86er, Gallo Latsang, GT for short, how he fares. Looks like he might have gotten a little bit wide there out of that corner, but let's see how he will recover. Has yet to set a time. Does the 86er, 5.5 minutes to go, less than 5.5 minutes to go. Mara, why, Tindo? Why? Asked Mello the Mello, Malusi the Malusi. 86er, how will he fare? Well, the question is, fairly well so far. He's the quickest man through the first sector is the 86er, as we watch him twitch that steering wheel, trying to get that line perfect. And has to sort of ease up on the throttle there coming out of that corner. He heads now onto the DRS straights and opens up that rear wing, sends that Williams car screaming down towards the heavy braking zone. And will he nail that apex? Not quite too tight onto that left-hander, that slow corner. The 86er on the Tindo corner where we saw Tindo crash out. Tindo sends that car into the wall, but not me, says the 86er. He comes now into this final chicane before the final corner. He sends that car, keeps his line, twitches that steering input, does the 86er, and he will cross the line, will the 86er, with a 118.987. So not bad by conventional standards, but in Tier 1, it's not quite on the mark. It's only good enough for P8. And, well, with everyone back in the pit lane, it will be a case of just keeping that car on track, going through to Q2, flustered, and just keeping it nice and clean. The 86er is under immense pressure. He currently sits 19th in the championship, just 32 championship points. Now, let me give you the rundown. Bottom of the standings is Man Ray on just 2 championship points. And, well, this being the penultimate race, if Man Ray was to somehow join today, he would need to win today and perhaps secure a podium place in the final race to secure a decent spot for him or to survive next year. But Man Ray, just 2 championship points. Well, Man Ray in the Scarlet Red Ferrari, it's a car color that pretty much matches the red carpet, which is being rolled out for him in Tier 2 for next season. So as things stand, it's a grim situation for Man Ray, who is not represented on the grid thus far today. The 86er currently sits second from last, 32 points. He needs a decent race today, does the 86er. And would you look at that? His second attempt puts him in the 1 minute 17. It's a 117.909 for the 86er. 117.909 becomes the 4th driver. So what an effort, what an answer that is from the 86er. I actually thought that was an in-lap from the 86er, but no, now this will be his in-lap. That is an insane effort. Bad Kobe is in. Let's go, says teammate Malusi the Malusi. It is Romeo, the 86er, and S. Buddha in your top 3 spots so far. Less than 2.5 minutes to go in this first qualifying session. What an effort from the 86er. He is under pressure. 32 points he needs to fight his way, hopefully above Spizoso and Romeo, who each have 38 points. So it's pretty tight for the Williams driver. A lot on the line. 2 minutes to go. Bankobi will most likely become the final driver to come out and set a time out here, thus securing his spot in Q2. And, we saw Bankobi on a cold set of medium tires crash out of qualifying recently. So he's got his work cut out for him just to keep that car on track. The 86er, decent effort. He seems to like it here. And, hopefully for him, it's going to be a decent race out here.
Yeah, no, 86 up, they didn't know. They clearly advise. Marami lang siya. Kung siya naman, ang PM, mga G-string naman polo man siya. Ang aswerte ka po sa miling advice mo ba? I-polo na yun na mo tayo Formula 1. Aspan! Marang ang tayo lang tayo sin iba kam. Pega man siya. Saka ko P2 ko Q1. Advice ang may ito. Yabo, multing advice. Just ask.
Yes, just ask if you need advice, indeed. The 86er seems to have heeded that advice to just keep calm and hopefully secure his spot in the next qualifying session and possibly in the top 10 shootout. Now, Bankobi, let's hop on board with him. He's in a rich vein of form, I suppose, considering the most recent couple of races. After struggling in the middle part of the season and the first sort of part of the final couple of races, he's found himself on the podium a couple of times, and he finds himself being the quickest man through Sector 1. Now, will it be a purple Sector 2 as well? And perhaps giving Romeo, a.k.a. Mandla, a lot to think about towards the end of the session? Well, we will see. It's Bankobi in Sector 2. 22 seconds to go in this qualifying session. I do not know if Bankobi will take this car pretty much on a second run. He doesn't really need to by the look of things because it's a purple Sector 1 and a purple Sector 2. He is the only man, the final man on track. He goes into the grass and he spins out this Bankobi. Oh, Bankobi spinning out, taking too many liberties, and that is that. He will take the checkered flag, pretty much bottom of the standings as things stand. Oh, Bankobi. Taking too many liberties there out on track. Oh, has a snap coming out of that final chicane, does Bankobi. And, he will cross the line significantly, way behind most of the grid. We might have a new winner tonight, says Lungs of the comment section. Well, Romeo, a.k.a. Mandla, a.k.a. Esmendlo, will be licking his lips, rubbing those hands together, and potentially eyeing a potential win here. Romeo tops the time in the McLaren is a 117.7. Galilith Sang, a.k.a. the 86er, is second from Esbuda in P3. And Loveness is fourth, the final driver in the 117s. We then have Mfundo fifth, Kaboza sixth, Zotal seventh, and Selby is eighth, Bankobi ninth, and Tindos by Zozo will take no further part in this race, in this qualifying session, having crashed out here in Q1. Just 9 drivers on this grid. Well, if they can all keep their cars on track, that is pretty much your top 10 shootout, of course. Inachi says, the thing about this track, it's so easy to spin. And we saw Bankobi, who was taking sectors 1 and 2 with absolute confidence, totally fumbled it there in the final sector. He bottled the blood. Big one thing, yeah, Bankobi bottled the blood. It was doing well, yeah, Papa Sector 1, Papa Sector 2, but the final sector was a joke thing, blood. He bottled it, blood. Well, it was a bit of a fumble, but Bankobi managed to cross the line, meaning he is here in Q2. Let's see how he will fare now in this second qualifying session. Ha! It's the second qualifying session. Looks like there is an Aston Martin out on track. Mfundo, well and truly comfortable out here. We're going to see how he will fare. Got a lot of pace. Recently switched to manual transmission, so we've seen what he can do with the automatic, and presumably once he gets a full hang of this manual transmission, you can't expect Mfundo to go even quicker. Say hello Mitseke in the comments, says Mfundo. I'm not sure if he's cheering for Mfundo, but who will perform well enough on this grid to be called Babe in the comment section? Well, If you're feeling these guys, you can call them Babe. You can cheer them on in the comment section. Circuit, of course, is the reigning champion. When he does well, people call him Babe in the comments. Who'll be called Babe today? Who'll be the Babe?
Ento tanazi ukuthi ubani Babe lana mara umfundo uyavaya yabo manje sekasuthesa kakumanwa no uzoba guy something to worry about, I'm told.
Yes, you won't give them a lot to worry about. We'll watch him quite closely, and we'll see exactly if he can live up to that and potentially earn that Babe title in the comment section. It's Enfundo in the Aston Martin, opening up that DRS on that main straight, and here he comes, sending that car screaming towards turn 1. Let's see how he will take it now. These drivers seem to really enjoy this first sector. We've seen so many of the lap times fall, and those sectors go purple. Now, coming out of the left-hander there, he kept it quite tight, which gave him a lot to think about through that long right-hander. But what would you know? He is the first man to set a time. It is purple. Kid K says that we can expect to see Titus at 8 o'clock when his load-shedding situation is alleviated. And Fundo goes slightly wide there through that turn. And how will it be now into this slightly slower left-hander? We will see how Mfundo fares and what kind of a gauntlet he could lay now as we head towards the battle for the pole position in Q3. 12 minutes of Q2 to go, though. It's the heavy braking zone, and he doesn't quite hit that apex onto that left-hander. Oh, and Fundo has a moment there on the corner where Tindo lost it. Or rather, where Tindo lost it and Brakeaway spun, and now he has to recover into the final chicane. Now, he was slipping and sliding, trying to adjust that steering input before making his way now onto the main straight, opens that DRS, and Fundo crosses the line. It's a 1 minute 19.3 for Mfundo. Let us now watch the car that is approaching. It looks like one of the Red Bulls of Zotal. No, it is actually the 6er who's in the pit lane. There's a car about to cross the line. It is a Loveness on an outlap initially, but Selby is actually the next man who is due to cross the line. So let's catch up with him. We've spoken about what kind of a pressure he is in. He just wants to make it clean out to the playoff spots. Goes wide there out of the final turn to Selby. It's a 1:19.5. A lot of work for him to do. What about Brakeaway now? No, he's coming back into the pits. Is Brakeaway. Romeo, who lit up the timesheets in Q1, has opted for a pair of medium compound tires, and he will cross the line at the top of the timesheets. Despite those mediums, it's a 1:18.279, bested only by Zotal, who's just crossed the line for a 1:18.062. Zotal's teammate Kaboza is on the verge of finishing his no, it looks like he's definitely it's going really slow as Kaboza. So we could expect to see him go for another go. Esbuda has just crossed the finish line with a 1:18.338, but he's now making his way into Sector 2. His teammate, Mfundo, has crossed the line good enough for P4, and Kaboza has crashed. The Red Bull driver will not take any further part in this qualifying session. Kaboza crashes out, having gone super slow there as we're watching his onboard. And Mfundo takes to some landscaping. Really heavy onto the grass with Mfundo, and now he's got some lap time to make up. But despite that, he's still the quickest man through Sector 1. What can Mfundo do now in this second sector? We've seen this part of the track be oh so treacherous as Selby Sango makes way for Mfundo, who goes onto the green part of that curve onto the DRS straight, opens up the rear wing. It's the heavy braking zone, and he pretty much nails that apex. Romeo Mindlo, once again, this time on medium tires, betters his time. It's a 1:17.915 on medium compound tires. Mindlo, Romeo enjoys it out here in Spain. We could have a brand new pole sitter. Mfundo goes super wide as Loveness becomes the second driver to lose his car. Loveness retiring without setting a time. Oh, Loveness, that's where he lost it, on the pit lane, on the entrance of the pit lane. And now the Red Bull of Zotal is Loveness, mechanic Loveness leaves a tire there as, Zotal's disqualified. Zotal's been disqualified from this, trying to get out of the way of Loveness, whose car was lodged at the entrance to the pit lane. Oh man, Zotal will be absolutely fuming He was trying not to total his own car, but Loveness pretty much, chose to park it there. He crashed in the pit lane entry, and, that was just super, super unfortunate. Well, Romeo looks like the man to beat today. It's a 117.915, an absolutely sensational effort for him. And S. Buddha, I would have you know, has also been running medium compound tires, had a little bit of a moment there, and looks like he's coming back into the pit lane himself. Now, the 86er, aka Galiletsang, how far along are you? It's the final section, the final chicane, and he really has to watch how he takes that final turn, the 86er, but he will cross the line, good enough for P4, just behind Mfundo and just ahead of Selby, the two drivers who are on soft compound tires. Now, Van Kobe is one of the only drivers running out on track. He's opted not to put on a helmet. That's Van Kobe. Has a bit of a moment there coming out of that turn, and has to really correct that to steering wheel. And, of course, that heavy braking zone, he misses that apex, does Van Kobe. It has a bit of a snap. Will he abandon this hot lap? How much fuel does he have on board? Van Kobe just needs to set a banker lap here. And if he might need to refuel, then he definitely has enough time. It's the final chicane for Van Kobe. By now he knows that he's lost a lot of time. So many tenths lost on those little snaps that he had. And it's a 118.6 P5 spot for Van Kobe. That red light is not flashing right now because, he does have enough fuel on board. Let's see how he fares as the Tapiso was laughing at Zotow's moment there. It goes quite wide to Van Kobe and has an almighty spin on the gravel and has to recover now. Van Kobe, we know, is a driver that always pushes it. He's always on the limit. But when you're not precise on the limit, that is exactly what happens. He was coming out of that, he just did not have the grip, and he lost it, spinning out onto the gravel. There did Van Kobe. So he's going to have to go all the way around again. Oaks are spinning, says Wandale Chesney. Yep, indeed, absolutely. It's a lot for Van Kobe to think about. He has not looked comfortable at all today as Van Kobe. On other tracks, when he is calm and relaxed and comfortable, he pretty much gives the top runners a lot to think about. But not today, not in Spain. He will have to give it another go. With about just under 6 minutes to go, Van Kobe might just come back into the pits, possibly having flat spotted those medium compound tires. He might just come into the pits for fit a fresh pair and to give it another go. Van Kobe. Now, it's Mfundo. And let's see now how he fares. He's about 3/100ths of a second slower than his previous best through Sector 1, so a lot of work to do. Let's hop on board now with Mfundo, who has had a decent, comfortable season out here in the top tier of Breakaway League Racing. It's Q2, and it's just over 5 minutes to go as we watch that steering wheel keeps on twitching and twitching as he makes those inputs and adjusts his line to make sure that those lines are absolutely correct. It's a bit late on the brakes there into that heavy braking zone as Kid K notes that Bratox must be happy that these cars are indeed spinning. Yes, Bratox, you should be able to confirm that for us in a second. Let's see now. Mfundo has a lot of snaps through that chicane. Really not comfortable is Mfundo, losing quite a significant advantage. And a couple of tenths, really, that will be lost to that. He's got about the tenth quicker. It's a 118.248. Puts him P3. And still being on soft tires, of course, that means that Mfundo will be one of just 1, 2, 3 drivers, potentially, starting on soft tires. And he invalidates this time around. His teammate, S. Buddha, is going once again. S. Buddha wants to give Romeo Mandela something to think about by the time Q3 rolls along. He is on another hot lap attempt, looking to set the overall purple lap, the quickest lap. And here he comes now, beginning Sector 3. As Buddha, I would have you know, is the quickest man through Sector 2. Eases up on the throttle through that curve. through that turn, which has claimed so many victims so far. And here he comes now into the final chicane. How clean, how smooth, how effortless will it be? The answer is not quite, as you have to ease up on the throttle to adjust his line there before the final start-finish straight. He crosses line 9/100th of a second quicker, but not good enough to trouble Mandla. Mandla still the only man in the 117 so far. 3.5 minutes to go. Ban Kobe, will he come out again and look to make amends? We will see. Let's catch up with Mfundo. Well, he's coming back into the pits. It's Esbuda and Mfundo, the only two people on track at the moment. And it's a huge day as far as promotion and relegation are concerned. And perhaps the tension is getting a little bit too much for some of these drivers. But it's interesting. Kaboza, Zotail, spinning out, crashing out. But Zotail with that unfortunate DSQ trying to get in the way of Loveness. Loveness, who crashed out, of course, crashed in the pit lane. If you've just joined us, Loveness crashed into the pit lane. Zotail was coming into the pits, and that car was just lodged in the pit lane. Zotail tried to reverse and send it back on track, but then he got disqualified as a result. Zotail, of course, desperate for points. Kaboza himself also desperate to get out of those treacherous potential playoff spots and just secure his place in Tier 1 without having to go through the playoffs. 2 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Looks like most of the grid are just opting to stay in the garage here, and no one sees the need to come out with about 2 minutes of qualifying to go. It's Romeo topping the timesheet as Buddha is second with a 118.021, and Fundo P3 currently. Those Aston Martins looking comfortable in Q2. The 86er Galileo Tsang on those medium compound tires, P4. Ban Kobe is 5th, and Selby is P6. Now, Romeo, Esbuda, the 86er, and Ban Kobe selecting medium compound tires in Q2, and as per the rules in this version of Formula 1, of course, that is their preferred tire to begin, to start this race, with a minute and a half left of this qualifying session to go. We've seen what Romeo can do today. Do you expect Mindlo, Romeo, is he basically the shoe-in for P1 in Q3? Let us know in the comment section. Let me catch up with that comment section. Dini was asking if Man Ray is coming. Well, we hope to see him later. He needs the points. Man Ray needs, 2 miracles in the final 2 races to secure his spot in Tier 1 for next season. Hopefully, he can pull that off. Wandal says, well, this is going to be an entertaining race. And the medium is tricky for qualification, says Malusi the Malusi in the comments. And how did Zotail DS crew? We were touching a little bit on that. And these guys really need the points. It's been Spin City, as Ronald Pipes mentioned in the comment section. Ron Pipes, the Superstar Tier 2 driver, of course. Ron Pipes, Ronald McPipes, I believe he is a cousins with Ronald McDonald, and it's good to see him being represented out here in Breakaway.
Lama ataya spin ito. Kapana benkhuluma nabo 86 ngamtshela ukuthi angithi mina ngijela ama G-string spin ama G-string. Bayangazwa baspina yabo abanqobi nabo Thindo bayifake ebondeni mara maybe bazo recover irace mayiqala angazi sobona khona.
Yes, we will bone a Kona indeed. See exactly if they can recover it in the race itself and have a sort of a redemption. I beg your pardon. Excuse me? I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. Listen, folks, we're having a bit of an argument here, but we're going to look to sort it out here. Brett Talks is a little bit angry, it seems. He claims that I understand Zulu, but I don't, folks. Listen, folks, it's about 16 seconds before Q3 here, and Berthox is giving me a little bit of trouble out here in the commentary box. Is Zozo that pissed? He's not even coming to chat. Well, yes, he would be severely upset at that DSQ, Dini. Yeah, Zotel is not happy indeed. Well, Q3, how will it go? Do you expect Romeo to hold on to that P1? Well, I most certainly would not be surprised. He's looking very comfortable here. And, well, we could have a fantastic race in prospect out here.
Mena uromia uzoibeka yabo bayi-7 manje abothinde bacrashile manje so i-battle for pole position at least abantu abasekho yabo Selby ukhona maybe surprise.
Yeah, maybe Selby could surprise us. Yes, could spring a surprise. Ban Kobe, it is Selby, S. Buddha, Mfundo, and Romeo Massigo. Mindlo, S. Mindlo. What can he do out here today? Well, it's going to be good here.
Hi, sorry, I'm Hugh from Redbird. Sorry, I'm looking for my son. Where's my son? Where's Jono? Where's John? I'm looking for my son.
Excuse me, sorry. We're trying to carry on a stream here.
Yeah, but my son.
Sorry, ma'am. We're just trying to carry on here with a live stream. Sorry. We seem to have a couple of people just barging into the comment section here today. But we'll keep it nice and clean here, and we'll make sure that we have no further interruptions. Zotal says, can we move on to the next game, please? Because what is this? Zotal now having to watch from the pit lane, from the paddock, having been disqualified. That unfortunate incident with the car of Loveness. Meanwhile, in the Alfa Romeo garage, they are working frantically to make sure that Spizozo and Tindo will have decent enough cars to come out, having both crashed out in qualifying here. Yeah, let's see now how they will fare. The first man out on track is Mfundo, and then, of course, we have Selby Sango. It's Q3. Who will be P1, P2, P3? Let us know in the comment section. 12 minutes of qualifying, of which we have just 10 minutes for all these drivers to stake their claim out here. The weather is beautiful out here in Spain. And, yeah, we're potentially have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful race in prospect if this weather can hold out. Ah! Mfundo is here! And he is here to be the first man to begin his hot lap attempt. Let's see how he fares. Now, he's on the main straight, is Mfundo, and he needs to be absolutely perfect to give himself a decent banker lap and perhaps even a first attempt that will hold on to pole position. Man Ray is here. We will be seeing Man Ray, the Ferrari driver, in the race when it begins in about 12 or so minutes. He goes purple through sector 1, but of course, he is the first man on a hot lap attempt. It's the first man out. He goes quite slowly there through that turn, does Mfundo. And let's see now how he will recover the time. Oh, as a snap of oversteer and has to adjust, does Mfundo into the DRS. DRS straight he goes. He opens up that rear wing, that DRS heavy braking zone, slightly misses the apex of wide out of that slow corner, does Mfundo, and has to adjust in that oh-so treacherous corner, which has claimed its fair share of scalps already. It's the final chicane for Mfundo, and how will it be? If you've just joined us, this man, Mfundo, in the Aston Martin, will be the first to set a representative time out here in Q3, and he will open up that DRS, that rear wing, for a 118.455 on a medium compound of tires, interestingly, in Q1. Interesting choice here. Here comes his teammate. Soft tires for S. Buddha on to the, first sector, finishing the first sector, and he will definitely be the man going purple. So he's quickest through sector 1 is S. Buddha here, and let's see how exactly he fares throughout the rest of this one. But S. Buddha is actually quite a long way behind the likes of the 86er and Loveness, who are on the verge of finishing their times. So let's see now how he fares. He has a little bit of an adjustment, does the 86er. He currently has not set a time. He's on soft tires, and he goes third quickest at 118.982 in between the time of Mfundo and Selby Sango out here. So a lot to consider. Caboza, whose teammate was disqualified out of Q2, will cross the line quickest of the lot. It's a 117.768 on soft compound tires for Caboza. Will that be bested, as Buddha has just crossed the line, yes, for a 118.175. And it looks like Mfundo will do the same and pip his teammate to that P2 spot. Ha! The lap times are falling and falling and falling. Let's catch up with Selby. I'm not sure if he's going for another run. Yes, he is, but it's P4 currently for Selby. And what about Bankobi? He's on, oh, well, he's invalidated, so Bankobi will have to give it another go. A lot for him to think about, but the 86er who set that, oh, 118 spins, and Romeo's right behind him. Romeo's right behind him on his hot lap attempt, so hopefully that does not disturb Romeo. Spin City, said Ronald Pipes. Ronald McPipes, he was absolutely correct. And the 86er joins the Spin Doctors out here in Barcelona at the Circuit de Catalunya. It is Romeo on the main straight, and he's only P4 currently on a track that he has definitely enjoyed thus far. It looks like Caboza might be on another attempt to better his time, and he betters his time by a couple of hundreds. It's a 1:17.702. That is the gauntlet. That is the benchmark. That is Caboza coming with the heat in the penultimate race of Tier 1. An absolutely scorching effort from him. And it looks like Espuda is on an in-lap here. Caboza laying it down. Yeah, it's an in-lap for the two Aston Martins. So instead, let us see how Bankobi is faring, because he's some way ahead of the McLaren. But what about Selby? No, Selby's coming to the pits. It's Bankobi now, makes his way through the final chicane. Let's hop on board. C-Clay says this race is going to be lit. It's Bankobi on the main straight. He opens up the DRS, and he crosses the line. It's still a 118.618. But by the look of things, he has enough fuel on board to give it another go. Romeo Mandla is on the verge of finishing his hot lap attempt. He's gone 3/10 quicker overall than his previous best time. He's on the main straight. He opens up the DRS, and he goes quickest. It's a 117.443. Romeo Mandla, S. Mindlo, laying it down, showing what he has got. And it is the quickest time by some margin. Almost 3/10 that time between Mandla and Caboza. Caboza with a lot to think about here before the end of this qualifying session. Mandla laying it down, a red-hot time in that papaya orange McLaren. Mandla Mindlo absolutely bringing the heat. Look at the fire emojis in the comments section, giving him his plaudit. It's Bankobi now. Looks like he's going significantly slower. Looks like he's about a second slower, is Bankobi? So let's catch up with Espuda instead, who's about to cross the line. He improves by half a second, but it's only good enough for P2. Oh man, he's so close with Espuda. It's a 117.5. It's only good enough for P2. Oh, lots of work. Look at that effort from Mandla. He has given this grid so much to talk about. So much to think about, rather, as it looks like Bankobi has made his way back into the pit lane. What an effort that was. Mandla, Mindlo, Romeo needs to keep it together and potentially secure a historic race win for himself. What would be an absolutely fantastic result if he can pull it off when the race begins. He was complaining about me lapping him last race, says C-Clay, and blinding my vision. Look at him now. Look at me now, says Mandla. I'm getting purple sectors. Look at me now. Hey, I'm getting purple sectors.
Hey, Doctor, I know, Figgy. Figgy, I know, Figgy.
Well, let's see. Espuda not making it away on the final part of the track here. What about Mfundo? He's on another attempt. Mfundo is looking fairly quick here, having crossed the line. I just saw something which looked like 4/10 quicker. But yeah, he's on a hot lap attempt. He's one of the only people on track. And Mfundo likes going so hard onto the grass out of that turn there, doesn't Mfundo? He absolutely loves taking liberties with some landscaping there. And, well, he made it through unscathed. Will that be a purple sector 1? The answer is no. Not this time. Not so far. Wait for that Merc, says C-Clay. Wait for that Merc. We will see how Bankobi fares. Oh, and Mfundo loses it there. He will have to go again. And hopefully he has enough fuel on board to do so. And, yeah, Mfundo having a huge moment there, having to readjust and reorient himself. Well, Ronald McPipes reckons that Mercedes is going to DNF. No faith in Bankobi from Ronald McPipes. And, yeah, let's see how how he will fare when that gets underway. Meanwhile, the 86er, let's see how he will fare. Seakley reckons that he will win. It's going to spin again, says Inati. Well, the 86er is giving it another go. And as Bankobi begins his outlap, the 86er unfortunately has gone about a tenth slower through Sector 1. So a lot of time to make up for Galatang, aka the 86er. Oh, has an almighty snap through that section of the track as the 86er, losing even more time. And, well, don't be surprised if perhaps he's lost he's 2/10 down now on his previous best time is the 86er. So, a definite recovery on the cards for him. Tapiso says Bankobi did a 117.1 in our friendly. So Tapiso expects Bankobi to have a lot to say before this qualifying session is over as we watch the end of Galatang, aka the 86er now, opening up that DRS on the final straight. Well, it's he still improves. He goes P5, does the 86er. A lot of work for him to do. The two Aston Martins, that being Esbuda and Mfundo, are in close proximity, but the man on a hot lap attempt with 44 seconds to go in this qualifying session is Mfundo. Romeo holds on to provisional pole currently. What can Mfundo do now? That red light is flashing. It's the last chance for Mfundo, and he improves. It's a 117.5, a hot lap attempt. Decent effort. Let's see Bankobi, says Crash. Yes, we will. He is some way behind Kaboza, who's also attempting to improve on that P4 spot. Kaboza will cross the line before this man, Bankobi, who goes wide out of that turn. Missed the apex, totally did Bankobi. How many tenths will that cost him? Kaboza has crossed the line. His best time, Kaboza, is a 117.7. We're on board with Bankobi now into the final chicane. And he pretty much hits that. Bankobi, goes slightly wide, has to adjust there onto that final turn. He opens up that DRS, does Bankobi, and it's only good enough for P5. Kapoza retires his car as Mfundo, the 86er, and Selby Sango are the last people running. 86er hasn't validated, so that is pretty much inconsequential for him. Selby Sango looks to be going, significantly slower, about 3 seconds slower, so doesn't look like a hot lap attempt from him. Selby Songo, by the look of things, will begin this race in P7. What about Esbuda, or Mfundo rather? Oh, he's gone so much slower as Mfundo, and he's coming back into the pit lane. Well, it looks like at the end of Q3, Madla Romeo Esmindlo is in pole position in the McLaren, 117.443 from Mfundo, who himself is in the 117s with that 117.531 from his teammate Esbuda, who will begin this race in P3, having secured that 117.595. Kaposo will begin 4th, Bankobi 5th, having tried to recover without any consequence, unfortunately, for Bankobi. P5 is the best that he could do. The 86er Galatsang, P6, a decent start for him as he attempts to fight his way out of the relegation zone today. And Selby Sango in the AlphaTauri will start this race in P7. What a qualifying session. What an effort from Romeo Mindlo, grinning from ear to ear in the McLaren paddock, in the McLaren garage right now. An absolutely insane effort from him. Inati says Mandla has been quick. He deserves to be on the podium. What a day that will be for Mandla, if you can secure that podium spot. If you've just joined us, those are your drivers, which will be at the top of this grid. It is Romeo and Mfundo in the front row, Esbuda and Kaboza in the second, and Bankobi in the 86er in 5th and 6th. Selby 7th, and of course Tindo and Spizozo rounding off your top runners. Titus is here. Man Ray is here. Even Loveness is here. I believe Loveness might actually be beginning in the P8 out here. Yes. Man Ray is here. Loveness is here. As you can see, the race will be getting underway in a minute. Malusi the Malusi is in the comment section. What a lap by Mfundo, says Ronald Pipes in the comment section. Yep. Absolutely insane effort. Lungs wants to see a new race winner today. Predictions are coming in. Do you agree with Inati? He reckons P1 as Buddha, Mandla, and then we have Ban Kobe as those are podium finishes. Book it, says Inati. Do you agree? Well, she's a Bona Kona. We will see. Liddy Teppel says, half of Tier 1 is in the comment section. Man, ESCOM has really done a number on us, load shedding so many potential classic races that we were robbed of because of load shedding and all of that. But we have 13 seconds before this race gets underway at the Circuit de Catalunya. Bienvenido a todos. Yo necesito mucha tracción, por favor. 3 seconds to go. How will it go? Let's go, says Kid K. Mahalala. And, well, here we are. It is the battle to survive relegation. Mandla wants to get more points than Spizozo. They're currently neck and neck in those potential playoff spots. It is the race start. Let's see how Mindlo can hold on to it. And Fundo goes on the inside already. He's being attacked by both of the Aston Martins who are right on his tail. But Mindlo holds on to that P1 spot. Oh, those Aston Martins have a bit of a swap there. They do. But Mandla has held on to that P1 spot by a factor of about 7 seconds. Tindo is out. Tindo is crashed out before the end of lap 1 here. It's drama out here in Spain. Tindo becomes the first lap to crash out, bringing out the safety car, which means that these drivers can at least hang on to position here. And let's get a sense of what has changed, if anything at all. Selby Songo with a nightmare start, slipping 5 places, finds himself in the back of the grid, having just participated in Q3. Zotal recovering from that DSQ, and he gets that P5 spot, going up 3 places to Zotal. The under virtual safety car, Tindo, crashes in the first lap, and Romeo leads this race. He will take us to the end of lap 1 in the lead of this race. Now, want to get a sense of whether or not Tindo made contact with someone and who might have lost the wing in that first lap melee. S. Buddha has overtaken his teammate, and Fundo in that race towards turn 1, and Kaboza finds himself level P4, having not changed positions. The Red Bull driver is now tailed by Zotal, his teammate. And the 86er holds firm in P6. Ban Kobe is 7th. Ban Kobe dropped 2 places. And then we have Loveness in 8th. Spizozo is 9th. Man Ray 10th, and then Titus 11th, and then Selby routed off the back of the grid. Now, it's the battle for the race lead. The safety car has ended. It is S. Buddha chasing down Romeo Mandla, S. Mindlo, for the race lead. What can he do? It's the Aston Martin driver, and Mindlo, who looks absolutely comfortable and calm out here in Barcelona, has already stretched that gap by a couple of tenths now before the end of this second lap. Oh, man. Mr. Buddha really needs to hang on to his coattails here. And look at that gap fluctuating between 7 and 8 tenths. And as Buddha is going to have to use some of that battery power now to keep abreast, to stay in touch with Romeo, who looks so comfortable out here in Spain. He goes quite heavy through that right-hand turn. Does as Buddha? How much time will that cost him? Well, he's having to use his battery now. The gap between these two is about 6 tenths. And Fundo follows closely behind. The top 3 have stretched their gap to about 1.2 seconds. And let's catch up with some of the early battles that are taking place. Loveness, who's opting to run without a tire here, is hunting down Ban Kobe in the Mercedes. He's right on his tail as they come into this chicane now. And the 86er is also holding his own. Goes heavy onto the curves of the 86er, as we can see through this view here. The virtual safety car is out once again. Oh, no overtaking as Loveness was lining up that overtake. They're going to have to slow down their race pace to about 40% of race pace now, these drivers. The virtual safety car has been called once again by the stewards. Perhaps a buildup of debris on the track. And let's get a sense now of the tire situation. Zotal, Zotal is the only man on track running medium compound, or rather soft compound tires. So Zotal will definitely hope for an early full safety car out here, and that'll bring him on a parity level with the rest of this grid. Now, Man Ray and Titus, who joined the lobby late, are on a recovery drive of sort here. They're going to have to fight their way up the grid. Titus finds himself in P10 today, and Man Ray is in P11. Selby, who had to come into the pits early, or rather has opted to pit under the VSC, has chosen a hard compound of tire. Is Selby already thinking to take these tires to the end here? It's a hard set of tires as the DRS is enabled and the VSC ends. And as it does so, the gap between the race leader and P2 is 1.2 seconds. Mandla, who is absolutely comfortable and calm out here, is giving all these guys so much to think about. Meanwhile, there's a hell of a battle taking place further down the grid. It looks like Van Kobe was having a bit of a moment with Spy Zozo there as we watch Mandla stretch that gap to 1.5 seconds. Let's see now what is happening. Oh no, it is Van Kobe who is coming into the pit, thus swapping some of the early positions there. Ooh, it looks like Mfundo went onto the grass there. Mfundo really needs to watch that particular turn, the early part of the track. He's so fond of going onto the grass there. It might cost him. It might cost him a race result as this race goes on. He's currently being chased by Kaboza and Zotal. It's a double team, Aston Martin versus Red Bull, from P2 all the way down to P5. Of course, Romeo leads S. Buddha currently, and he is slowly inching closer and closer to the back of that Aston Martin is Kaboza currently. The gap is about 1.1 seconds. Into the heavy braking zone, into the heavy braking zone, and he has to watch the nails that exit perfectly now, and he is now within DRS, as is this man. S. Buddha has managed to recover, and coming in onto the main straight, he will have DRS, and he will not hesitate. He will not need a second invitation. Will S. Buddha, who now sets the quickest lap of a 120.8. He inches closer and closer. He goes on the inside and gets that move done before they come into turn one. Mandla now will have to fight back to reclaim the race lead. He has not been too liberal with his use of his battery power, has Mandla. Only 70 or so %. And now he must just stay within DRS and give S. Buddha a lot to think about. And force the leading Buddha now to use his battery. Force him to deplete that battery so that Romeo can pounce and retake the initiative. Retake the race lead out here. It is battled pretty much all over this grid right now, and the closest running are those fighting for the race lead. Romeo currently sitting on 38 points. 38 points for Romeo. Needs every single point that he can get. And I will keep on updating you on how the championship points situation stands right now as we watch the McLaren try to keep up with the leading Aston Martin. Oh, he comes really close there, does Romeo. He's kept it so calm, so cool as Romeo now. And Buddha gets a cleaner exit and stretches that gap to about 7/10. Buddha, fastest lap once again. Romeo will have so much work to do if he's going to be able to recover and give this Buddha something to think about into turn one. But he won't be close enough, it seems. Oh, he thinks about it, but he was nowhere near close enough to get that move done. Meanwhile, the Boza, I would have you know, is also giving Mfundo a hell of a lot to think about. It's battles all the way up and down this grid. Let's hop on board now with the 86er chasing Zotal, whose 5-lap-old soft tires are quite likely beginning to complain as far as grip is concerned. Now, what can the 86er do? He's gone quickest through Sector 1, has the 86er chasing this Red Bull. He knows that Zotal is feeling the pressure. Zotal is struggling for grip here. All the 86er has to do is keep Zotal thinking and keep Zotal, force him into a mistake. He goes quite heavy into this DRS zone. Does the 86er? He, of course, opens up that rear wing, but he's not close enough to get that overtake done on this stretch of the track. It's battled aplenty all throughout this grid currently, as Gallo Latang, the 86er, currently sits second from bottom. He needs every single point he can get today. Romeo is now on to the main straight. He wants to reclaim the race lead, and I would have you know that the 86er has got that move done because Zotal relented and came into the pits. Here comes Romeo now onto the back of the Aston Martin. He's not close enough into turn one. And Titus, who was back on a recovery drive of his own, has gone quickest. It's a 120.652 for Titus over here. He is keeping... Hey, he's holding on. He's holding on, this Mandla, and he's making sure that he's not using too much of his battery power, because I would have you know that S. Buddha, of course, who does not have DRS, running in clean air, His battery is down to just 49 or so percent. Titus is going to win, reckons C-Clay, even though the Haas driver, who's commandeered the Mercedes, Titus finds himself P8 currently. That would be oh so sweet. Titus a last to first challenge if he can get it done. Now Romeo is keeping touch here, giving Spuda so much to think about as they come through that chicane, which has claimed its fair share of victims in qualifying, but no one so far in this race. Now he will want to keep this gap to within less than half a second. That is how Romeo retakes the race lead, or perhaps he's comfortable just hanging on to P2. We know he's got the pace, this Romeo. He's just letting Buddha use up his battery while he just takes advantage of the DRS. Now, can he get close enough here? Will he even think about it? The answer is no. He maintains that P2 spot well and truly comfortably. Loveness, who is the epitome of aggression out here in Tier 2, is chasing his teammates, the 86er, both Williams drivers out here. I'm not sure if Loveness will sort of demand team orders and just want to overtake his teammate, who had an almighty tussle with the Zotao before the Red Bull driver relented and came into the pit for those hard compound tires. No full safety car as yet. Tindo is the first and only driver to have crashed out in Spain here today. It's Loveness currently running P6 behind his teammate. And let's see how he can do, if he can indeed hold on here. And the right-hander is without incident for Loveness, who opens up that DRS and inches closer and closer to his teammate. No overtakes thus far. They're playing the team game, are the two Williams drivers. Spizozo needs to also secure a decent haul of points. Spizozo, remember, is in Spizozo is in, P16 in the drivers' standings as things stand. So he is, he's definitely at risk here of a potential relegation via playoffs. Meanwhile, these two have swapped positions again in the race lead. It's Romeo getting the overtake done, coming out of that initial turn, and he says, okay, well, I'll retake that race lead. And of course, he just allowed and pushed Spuda to use as much of the battery as possible. And Spuda is now down to the 30% worth of battery, while Mandla is running at about the 50% mark. And Fundo is going to want to help out his teammate and defend from Capoza, who is hunting him down in P4. Now, as Spuda, what can he do now on to this DRS straight? Will he look to just recover his own battery and pretty much just switch with Romeo when he feels that he's kind of milked his battery enough? Here they come now, beginning the third sector. Oh, went quite heavy into the curve there, did Spuda, but did not lose too much initiative, did not lose too much time, did not lose too much in the way of tenths now. He is less than half a second behind the McLaren driver. It is more than enough time, but Mandla gets a cleaner exit and stretches that. Mandla weaves to the right, trying to break the toe that the Aston Martin is getting, and he absolutely punches and punches and punches that battery. He's going to take a look on the outside, but will not get that move done. He's happy to hang on there as the two Williams drivers swap places, and Loveness goes ahead of the 86er currently. Now, we were catching up and seeing how Spizozo is faring as far as his season is concerned and the point situation. Let's watch this top two battle from the vantage point of Mfundo, meanwhile. Right. I want to give you a sense of the live sort of a points situation. Mandla has to deal with two Aston Martins, says C-Clay in the comment section. Mandla deserves this win, says Yanati. And Mfundo, trying to keep up with these top two, has absolutely drained his battery. It was down just below 10% a couple of seconds ago. But with each of these heavy braking zones, he manages to charge up that battery, does Mfundo here. So he's got his work cut out for him. And he needs to make sure that he gets clean exits here and somehow manages to hang on to his fellow competitors here. But those top two are really fighting a titanic battle. Buddha thinks about going on the outside, but no, Mandla positions that car perfectly to make sure that he keeps it absolutely nailed on here. Mandla has to deal with 2 Aspens. He deserves this win. They must overtake him. As much as I'd like him to win, just because of the last race, says Seakley in the comment section. So yeah, supporting definitely a lot of people in this grid here. It's lap 11 of 33. The likes of Zotal, Bankobi, and Selby have already pitted, and they're going long on their hard compound tires. And the likes of Sabuda and Romeo will eventually have to make their own moves. And who will blink first as far as the pitting strategy is concerned? They're going nice and steady, are these top 2. And Fundo also managing to hold on. Let's see how Titus's recovery is coming along. Titus right now is chasing Spizzoza, remember, and the gap between these two is about 1.7 seconds. We have a yellow flag in the sector 3, it seems. Yellow flag is not clear exactly who that was for. Mellow the Mellow is asking how long these guys are going to carry these medium tires for. Loveness says, well, I'm going to come to the pits. And the top 2 keep on having a switcheroo after switcheroo, trading places. And right now, Esbuda has retaken the race lead. Oh man, these top 2 are giving absolutely nothing away. Just want to see this battle from Romeo's perspective. But Mfundo has a front row seat here as we watch Romeo give Esbuda something to think about. Come on, Man Ray, says Seakley to his teammate who currently sits P11. Man Ray only 2 championship points in this season. It's Buddha! Has an almighty spin and crashes out! As Buddha loses his car, bringing out the yellow flag in sector 2. It's a huge crash into the wall, and Romeo says, okay, thanks, I'll take that. Will it be a full safety car though? Giving these medium tire runners a full, or rather a free pit stop. Yellow flags in sector 2, as Spizzoza racked up a time penalty in these conditions. Oh, as Buddha brings out the full safety car. Thank you very much, says Mandla. Romeo, I will take that. I will pit. Thank you, says Mfundo. I'll take that as well. You can expect the 86er, who now finds himself P4, to follow suit. And now what about the hard tire runners? Will they, of course, they're having to slow down significantly, but it looks like they're way too far behind to be able to come out in a position that would threaten the leaders here. Mfundo, soft compound tires. Mfundo puts on a pair of soft tires in lap 13 of 33. Esbuda, with that insane crash on that back DRS straight, brings out the safety car. But Mfundo, interestingly, most of the grid is switching to hard tires, and Mfundo, in lap 13 of 33, slaps on soft tires. I'm not sure if Mfundo was hoping and praying for another safety car here. Perhaps that's the strategy, that's the thinking in the Aston Martin garage currently. Yeah, but Mfundo, quite an interesting strategy here. Meanwhile, Bankobi, remember, who had already pitted for hard tires, well, he reckons, it's a full safety car, I got nothing to lose. Lap 13 to 33, I can take these tires pretty much to the end, says Bankobi. Well, it'll essentially be 20 laps that Bankobi will take these tires for. But remember, the safety car will go for a couple of revolutions, so it won't be necessarily 20 laps of racing that these medium tires will go for the likes of Bankobi. Man Ray has opted for hard compound of tires, and Selby Sango, also having just pitted, has gone for mediums once again. So Selby committing to a 2-stop strategy because he began this race on a medium compound of tire. So interesting choice there. But Selby also did pit, actually. Selby did pit for hard compound tires, so he's coming back, actually. This is his second pit stop for Selby. And I could make sure that I've got that detail right. Yeah, Selby has pitted twice, as you can see, as has Bankobi. The only 2 people to stop twice, and the rest of the grid most of the grid having just taken advantage of that safety car. But the story of the day, by far, by some margin, has been this man, Mandla. He has been the man to beat. He had laid down the benchmark. His time is pretty much, his time has been the gold standard in qualifying. No one could come close to Mandla. And as far as the race is concerned, Esbuda thought he could put Mandla under insane pressure. But Esbuda ended up crashing out, bringing out the safety car, leaving Mfundo as the lone Aston Martin driver out on track. It's lap 14 of 33, and Mfundo currently running second place. The 86er, who sits at the bottom of the championship standings before this race began, has a recovery drive in prospect. As things stand, I will keep on updating you as far as those points are concerned. Mandla must just bring this home, says Malusi the Malusi. Kaboza is in P4. Spizozo, P5. Titus is in P6. What a day for him. What a day for Titus. P6. Fresh hard tires. Zotal is in 7th place. Loveness is in 8th. Van Kobe, 9th. Recovery drive for him in prospect. Manray is 10th. That's one more point to the 2 championship points they currently have. Salbi Sango is outside the points. Now, the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. Now, current standings. Let's see. As things stand, I will give you a sense of that as we watch Mandla backing up this grid. He slows down, does Mandla. As things stand, Zotal is well and truly out of danger. Zotal is currently 13th. Romeo, as things stand, is well and truly safely into the playoffs, as is Kapoza and Selby Songo. Now, it is Mfundo on the grippier soft compound tires, and he is absolutely chasing Romeo, who was hoping to catch them napping, but not me, not this time. It's Mfundo going side by side into turn 1, but he's slightly behind his Mfundo, who will brake last. Oh, Romeo brakes earlier than Mfundo, who gets that move into turn 1, and it's a clean exit for Mfundo. Romeo is now under pressure. It's brand new hard tires for Romeo, and he's under pressure from the 86er, who's now side by side with the Valero driver. Will they make contact? No, they don't. Romeo goes slightly wider than the 86er, but hangs on to P2. Romeo, with his heart in his mouth in this moment, fighting off this grid, which has been backed up courtesy of the safety car. The 86er has a potential Hall of Fame moment as far as his season is concerned. He needs the points, does the 86er. He needs to scrap out of that bottom 3. It's desperate times for the 86er, and he is fighting Romeo now for a potential P2 spot. And remember, Mfundo on those fresh softs will have to pit. Loveness is side by side with Kapoza. He goes on the outside in that slow corner and gets the overtake done. Does Loveness? It's P4 for the Williams driver. The 2 Williams of the 86er and Loveness are now P3 and P4. Kapoza, hard tires, has a hell of a fight on his hands. Remember, these hard tires take a while longer to warm up, and Kapoza will now have to fight his way back and hope that Loveness struggles on those mediums later on in this race. Meanwhile, Mfundo on those insane grippier soft tires is just at the quickest time, as you can see, and that gap is 2.8 seconds that Mfundo holds from Romeo Massago. Mandla, with a titanic effort out here today, will have to hold his own and hold his nerve here, as Mfundo presumably will have to pit. Sinclair reckons that Mfundo will open a huge gap and then come into the pits. And perhaps will Mfundo have something to say by the end of this race? If it's, of course, by then Mfundo could possibly pit for another set of soft compound tires. Well, that's something to watch. Now, it looks like Spizozo is giving Kaboza a hell of a lot to think about, as is Ban Kobe on Zotal. And, of course, those guys are chasing hard tire runners. Zotal is trying to warm up these hard tires, and he's being given a lot of hell by Ban Kobe, who's chasing close and close behind him. this is what it looks like. It's we're on board now with the Mercedes driver, Ban Colby, with this particular corner, which was giving him probably a lot of PTSD, considering what happened in qualifying. But right now, he holds his own and inches closer and closer to the back of the Red Bull. It's Zotal through the chicane. Ban Colby slightly wide at the beginning of the chicane, and Zotal gets a cleaner exit and slightly stretches that gap to about 9/10. Those hard tires, are they warm enough? Are they getting a little bit of grip now? Well, that will give Ban Colby a lot more work to do as these lap times and these laps trickle down and down. Titus, who is no stranger to getting those tires to hum, has some work to do. Oh, it looks like Loveness has had a huge incident. He's spinning down and down, losing so much ground is Loveness. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, he goes from, the 86er rather. It was the 86er, remember, who was running in P3, has lost so much ground, as has Loveness. They might have made contact because both cars, both Williams, find themselves P7 and P10 currently. Oh, it looks like a damaged wing for the 86er. He'll have to come in. It's a damaged wing. Yeah, that front left end plate for the 86er has taken major damage, and the 86er will have to come in. And now he has to fight his way back into the point. Oh, he'll be kicking himself with the 86er as Loveness slips further and further down the grid. And Lung says, well, Mfundo is not saving those tires for any reason whatsoever. 5.3 seconds the gap between the leader and Mandla, who's running hard compound tires. So Mfundo committing to pit again, perhaps he's committing to pit again, and he'll have his work cut out for him. Capoza and Spizozo have just swapped places. This DRS train is definitely something that we should stay tuned to now, because from Spizozo all the way to Ban Colby, it's a hell of a battle. Ban Colby goes on the inside of the Red Bull of Zotal, and he gets that move done. It's Ban Colby up to P5, but Zotal looks to be fighting back. And Ban Colby, he falls. Ban Colby spins and he falls all the way down to P8. Those Red Bulls are having none of it. Ban Colby was looking to skill march on them, but they said no, getting their elbows out. And Zotal says, no, not today, not on my watch. It's Capoza running P4 currently. So much drama, drivers falling, making contact, having to come into the pits as the 86er does. You can see at the bottom of that grid. Now Capoza is chasing Spizozo, who has already racked up a time penalty alongside Loveness, who has also just pitted for soft compound tires, interestingly. Now, Capoza, what can he do? Can he get back to within DRS, or can he trim that gap to less than a second before that start-finish straight so that he can get DRS? Well, the answer is definitely not, because Spizozo has managed to stretch that gap as they come now onto that final straight. C-Clay reckons that at the end of this race, Titus will be a problem. He will be problematic. And right now, he is giving Zotal a lot of problems. He's giving him a headache of his own. It's Zotal who is looking in those rear view mirrors and has the unwelcome sight of the former champion Titus, who has commandeered a Mercedes today in lap 19 of 33. 6/10 now, the gap between him and Zotal running in P5. Older tires by a factor of 6 laps, 11 lap old hard tires for Zotal compared to the 5 lap old hard tires that Titus is running. Now, Crash in the comment section says that Mindlo and Spizozo are competing for that last playoff spot. Absolutely. Now we're on to the DRS straight. Titus has the DRS. He's opened up that rear wing, but he's not close enough to get that move done before that heavy braking zone. Spizozo, as Crash has mentioned, is under pressure for points to secure the playoff spot, as is Romeo, aka Mandla, who's running 7.5 seconds behind Mfundo, who opted for soft compound tires. And what a day would be for Mfundo or Mandla if they can secure this race win today. Let's catch up now. The battle between Titus and Zotal. It's the main straight. Zotal weaves to the left as he prepares to take this first corner, and Titus adjusts accordingly, and he will hunt him down and possibly get that move done on another part of the track. Look at that. More than 90% worth of battery power that Titus is running. He is just staying within DRS of the Red Bull driver, and perhaps forcing Zotal to use up all his battery. Loveness on those new tires goes quickest, 119.522 for the Williams driver. And as we are about to get onto the DRS, the back DRS straight, that is potentially when Titus could get this overtake done. Finally, on fresher hard tires compared to Zotal. Here they are now into the heavy braking zone. Not quite getting the move done. This is a masterpiece by Mfundo, says Ronald Pipes. That gap between P1 and 2 is now 8.3 seconds. As Titus is content to hang on here. Dini says, do not fumble, Mfundo. Do not fumble, Mfundo. Hold on, hang on.
Mfundo bambelela lapho manje. Angazi why uthatha ama-tires off manje. Abantu bazobamba ekunini too. At the end of the race, they're going to catch you.
Zotal weaves to the left and to the right to try and break that toe, but Titus says it is not enough. It is not enough. I'll get that move done. Titus goes on the outside and gets that move done up to P5. Meanwhile, I would have you know that Romeo has lost the P2 spot to Spizoso on those medium compound tires. But Romeo being Romeo, Mandla being Mandla, he will not go down without a fight. It's Thursday Action Night, only on YouTube. Let's see, lap 21 of 33. Mandla has about 34% worth of battery power left. What can he do? It was a potential race win for Romeo, remember, considering when he pitted and the tire compound of the guys ahead of him. But right now, he finds himself P3 as the Spizoso managed to get that move done. Remember, these two drivers have been level on points for the past couple of races. 38 points for these two drivers. These two drivers, Spizoso and Mandla, want to secure their spot in the playoffs and not have anything to worry about as far as automatic relegation is concerned. It's a titanic clash, an almighty battle as the McLaren driver looks to hang on. Mfundo relents. Mfundo finally comes into the pit, meaning that this man, Spizoso, will well and surely and truly hold on to the lead. What will Mfundo do as far as pit strategy is concerned? It's going to be mediums? I thought Mfundo would have selected another compound of soft over here. Did he run out of tires because of qualifying? Oh, watch Mfundo slip and slide all the way down as we catch up with this battle once again. It is Spizoso. That red light is flashing. Spizoso's battle is down to within less than 10% as Mandla has trimmed that gap to about 0.3 now. Mandla knows he can smell blood. It's like a shark in water. It's Mandla looking to take a bite out of the back of that Alfa Romeo as the 86er crashes out. The 86er, who currently sits in the bottom three, has potentially well and truly secured his relegation depending what happens in the final race. The 86er, who had a golden opportunity to secure some points today, has crashed out of this race. The 86er is out, bringing out the safety car in lap 22 of 33. 11 laps to go. The safety car is out. Ha 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 ha!
En dat ook subie. Ja, ik subie. 86 al crash. Abona manje 86. Eish. Le mechanic se fosora smarizamile mara eish. Bafaki coverage ecresida kule moto ka 86 yabo. That's why bekava nyana manje eish. Actually coverage it's not why ecresida mhlawumbe uye say mistake nyana. Amara hard 86 maybe tier 2, maybe tier 2.
Well, it's a potential red carpet welcome for the 86er into tier 2 potentially, depending on what happens in the final race out here. And remember, these guys who are on track, that being Romeo and Spizoso, they could just put themselves out of reach of the 86er. Romeo pits, he blinks. Spizoso, Capoza, and Titus opt to keep track position. Romeo says, you know what? I'm going to pit for softs here. As does Zotal, as does Bankobi. Romeo comes out in P5 under safety car. We'll have a couple of revolutions. Spizoso is your race leader. Spizoso. Alfa Romeo leads this race with 10 laps to go. He leads from Capoza. What a day for him. Remember, Capoza is currently mired. Before this race, he was mired in the playoff spots. If Capoza can somehow secure a podium here, then he well and truly would cement his place in the playoff spots here. Well, it's absolutely insane out here. Capoza finds himself in P2. Titus Malama, former champion, P3. Clay said, remember, Clay said Titus will be a problem towards the end of this race. And as things stand, Titus is proving that point to be absolutely true. Let me give you a sense of how much he's moved. Look at that. Spizoso has gained 10 places. Oh, man, what a drive from Spizoso. What a drive from Titus. 9 places gained. He sits P3. And Fundo is P4 currently. And Romeo is in P5. Fresh tires for Romeo, remember. Zotal is in 6th, also fresh soft tires. And Selby Songo is in P7. Manray needs points, of course. Now, he's only P8. Before this race, Manray was on just 2 championship points. Bankobi is in P9. He will want to have something to say as far as the end of this race is concerned. Loveless is P10. All these guys have to do is keep the car on track. It's a guaranteed points finish. It's a guaranteed points finish.
I won't come to the Talama point, Jabo. I won't come to the Akfani.
Yes, Akafani. Akafani indeed. Everyone will get points.
Akfani, I will compose Manga Tony Podio. I know also Chile also they're gonna clap.
Yes, they're gonna clap, and it'll be a decent points finish for Caboza if he can finish on the podium here. Remember, he's fighting for points here, and Titus is currently at P3 as we've mentioned. Now, as the safety car makes its way around, let me touch base with our statisticians once again to give you a sense of how things stand. Galalatsang GT 86er has crashed out of this session. 86er is second bottom of the standings. Spizoso, as it stands, leading this race, is well and truly into the playoffs. He is fine. He was automatically relegated with Spizoso before the end of this race, but now he has well and truly secured that playoff spot. Caboza currently has also guaranteed his potential safety as things stand. Selby Songo also, courtesy of the 86er crashing, Selby Songo, who has 55 points, can breathe a sigh of relief because the 86er, remember, was on 38 points. So Selby Songo is thanking his lucky stars that he is still running nice and steady in this race. Well, let's catch up with the comment section as the safety car is in this lap. Thanks for the love in the comment section. Appreciate the compliments. Yes, Tino Tegway, it's just myself and Bratox out here. We're having a decent time. It's been quite a dramatic race out here, and the 86er, Asabuda and Tindo, unfortunately crashing out of this race now. The safety car is going in. Caboza, what can you do? Now remember, Caboza will be at a slight disadvantage. These hard tires do take some work as far as heating them up is concerned. And would you look at that? He rebuilds the gap. That's Spizoso. He absolutely stretches that gap. I just want to get you the tire information here. Look at that. It's a second before they get to turn 1. Before they get to turn 1, it's a second, the gap between P1 and P2, 1.2 seconds, as Caboza is struggling with tire temperature. And as he struggles, Titus, who is an expert in managing his own tires, will just say, well, if there's an opportunity here, I will take it. Titus will look to have something to say as far as a potential overtake is concerned here. And remember, Spizoso, who has that time penalty to contend with, will now have to deal with these two drivers on his tail. And Fundo opted for those medium compound tires. He's right behind Titus, who's commandeered that Mercedes today. And let's watch from his perspective and see exactly how he can get this move done. Into the DRS straight over here. He absolutely punches, drains, nails that battery, doesn't Fundo, but he's not close enough to have a say on the back of Titus now. Remember, these drivers from P5 to P9 opted for soft compound tires, including Mandla, Romeo, who's had a masterclass of a day so far, but it could have been a race win were it not for some incidents and losing track position and the safety cars here today. But he's on soft tires. He has the tire advantage as we look towards the end of this race. Oh, it's a DRS trade from P3 all the way to P9 as Man Ray has unfortunately slipped all the way back. And what can they do now? Let's see if Titus can get this P2 spot from Caboza. 12-lap old hard tires. It's a potential masterclass of hard tire driving and defending from the fresher, grippier tires that are chasing him. Bankobi crashes out of this race. Kobe becomes the fourth driver to crash out in Spain, bringing out the safety car once again. Kobe crashes out, and Man Ray will come even closer as the safety car comes out. Now, Spizozo, Kaboza, Titus, will you risk it? Oh, but the grid is so close together. The grid is so close together. I mean, they'd lose so much. They'd pretty much relegate themselves to the back of the grid if they opted to pit right now. Yeah, they would definitely go all the way to the back. I mean, do you pit? It's safety car. What would you do in this situation if you were the top three? Seaflay is questioning who the heck is driving for Spizozo. Who is driving for Spizozo? It's lap 26. Man Ray must pit, says Seaflay. Of course, he's got nothing to lose. Spizozo blinks. Spizozo comes into the pits. What about Kaboza? Nope. Kaboza knows, well, we've just had a safety car. The grid is bunched up. I'm not going to pit. I'll stay out, says Kaboza. What about Titus? He stays out. Mfundo has no reason to pit. These are fairly fresh medium tires, and there is no reason for these soft tire runners to pit as well. Those are absolutely fresh, new soft compound tires for most of this grid. Man Ray and Spizozo pit, and they will be the final two drivers selecting that soft compound of tire. Mellow the Malusi does not agree with that decision that Spizozo has taken. Of course, he relegates himself essentially to the back of the grid. Does Spizozo, having come into the pits there? He had it in the bag, said Seakley. Yeah, Spizozo not trusting his performance, not trusting himself to hang on with just a couple of laps to go here. Just 6 laps to go. 6 laps of racing to go. And Spizozo, well, he just said, no, I'll just come back. The Tier 1 tire strategy today are sus, says Seakley. Spizozo, what are you doing? That's what Liddy is saying in the comments there. Let's catch up with the situation as things stand. It is Kaboza leading the pack under safety car from Titus and Mfundo in P2 and 3. No penalties for the top runners. So it's a fight to the finish for podium places. Hopefully no penalties towards the end here. Now, Mfundo is P3. I was just checking with the statisticians what the point situation is currently. Romeo Mandla is in P4, and as this grid bunches up, Romeo will be the leading pack to potentially take advantage of the less grippier, medium and hard tire runners of the race leaders. Zotal, P5 for Red Bull. Selby Sango is in 6th place. Loveness is in P7. Spizozo is 8th. Man Ray is currently in 9th place. Kaboza leads the race. What a day for him. What a day for Kaboza potentially, if he can manage to hang on here and get this race win done well and proper, well and cleanly. We saw how much Kaboza struggled at the race restart last time around when Spizozo pretty much stole the march on him and led by a factor of about 1.2 seconds before the end of that first lap. And so Kaboza definitely has a lot of work cut out for him to make sure that he can make those tires hum and sing. Titus managed to hang on to the coattails of Kaboza there, but he will also have a similar issue to get those tires nice and warm at the race restart. Mfundo will be right there, and he will hopefully see a situation that is there for the taking. But Romeo, who has been by far and away one of the top performers today in qualifying and in the race, will also have a lot to say. Who is winning? Your predictions and also your driver of the day. Who is your driver of the day? Who is winning this race? Tindo says, why, Spizozo? ELP, enemy of progress. Mfundo and Romeo will fumble. They're going to bottle it, blood. They're going to bottle it. They're going to bottle it. That's what Danny says. Danny has no faith. in those guys. Well, do you agree with Dini? Let us know. The safety car is in this lap as those drivers squirm and weave those tires to the left and to the right, trying to get a semblance of warmth into those tires. Can they get it done?
Andothabanda lamatayela ayabanda abanda njengenhliziyo yalomuntu ongicreate inhliziyo yona ongiphula inhliziyo ngithabiseke mara ayabanda lamatayela asibona uthetha sizoyenza kanjani.
It's Capoza looking to steal the mark on Titus. That gap now 6/10. Remember, both these top two running hard compound tires, but they're under pressure from Mfundo. Can he get this move done? He inches closer and closer to the top two, but Mfundo, that gap is not, he doesn't get such a clean exit there, does Mfundo? That gap there is about 3/10 though. It's Titus from Capoza by about 5/10, and Romeo Mandla on those soft tires to look to take advantage. Look there, it's Capoza holding his own. The gap is now 3/10 between him and Titus as he manages to hang on to P2 there. The Haas driver who has commandeered a Mercedes car today. Capoza will be at so much risk as he goes slightly wide of a turn, and he will be under so much pressure now on this DRS straight. Let's see how it goes now. Will Titus get close enough to get this overtake done? He punches it, does Titus, but he's not close enough into this slow left-hander now. Capoza is hanging on. That heart is beating. It's thumping, but he is hanging on for dear life. Is Capoza under an insane amount of pressure from the experienced king of tire management that is Titus Malema. But Capoza is holding his own, and he is not going down without a fight. It's the action night. Capoza weaves to the right, trying to break the toe perhaps, and he'll have to come back to the left, remember, if he can get that clean entry into turn one here. Capoza versus Titus into turn one, but Titus is not close enough. Zotal, meanwhile, is looking to get the move done on Romeo, but he's nowhere near close enough. Was Zotal? And Romeo says no, slams the door shut. Did Romeo into turn one. Zotal will have to think about it again. Zotal will have to do it once again. Let's look at Loveness, who's fighting for his life to get that P7 spot from Spizozo. Meanwhile, towards the back of the grid. He thought about it, did Loveness. He's so aggressive, is Loveness. Gives absolutely nothing away. He had to brake, of course, late there to try and not get... to try not hit the back of that Alfa Romeo there. Let's see what Loveness can do now. P8 currently. He's going to go on to that back DRS straight. What can Loveness do? He goes side by side now with Spizoso, and he gets that move done, does he? They're side by side into the corner, make a little contact, but Loveness gets that move done cleanly into P7. Loveness, trademark aggression, nudges Spizoso out of the way there, and the Williams driver is in P7. Let's catch up now with the battle for the race lead. It's lap 30 of 33, 3 laps to go. Spizoso can see Capoza can see his name in the headlights. He can hear his name ringing in the stars, but can he hang on for a potential memorable classic race win here? Titus will be right on his tail. Capoza.
And also Capoza. Inhliziyo. Iyamemeza inhliziyo kaCapoza khona manje yabo. Amanerves amarakufana. Ubambile Capoza.
Let's see, Romeo now on those soft compound tires is fighting himself, trying to get this move done on Mfundo for a potential memorable podium finish for Romeo, who's had an absolutely sensational day for McLaren out here today. The gap between these two just a tenth. He can smell the fumes on the back of the Aston Martin, and Mfundo gets a cleaner exit though, bringing Romeo under pressure from Zotal once again. Lap 31 of 33, it is essentially a DRS train from P2 to P8. No one is giving anything away as Titus opens up that rear wing once again. Man Ray crashes out! Man Ray has crashed out of the race, and with just 2 points to his name, Man Ray has officially been relegated. I think we can say that Man Ray has been relegated. Welcome to Tier 2, Man Ray. The red carpet has been rolled out for you, and hope that you could feel at home in your new tier next season. But right now, let's get back to the battle because it's Zotal looking to steal the march before turn one on Romeo. He's going to have to go on the outside, though. He's going to have to go on the outside, but no, he does not get that move done. It's a titanic clash. Battles all over. Romeo's and Mfundo crashes out. Romeo is into the podium places. And Mfundo crashes out of this race. He becomes the 6th driver that we have lost here. alongside Ben Colby and Fundo, Man Ray, Ben Colby are out of this race. And right now, in the penultimate lap, well, it can't be a safety car, surely. It can't be a safety car. Oh my gosh. No, it looks like a yellow flag, but no safety car so far. And Titus will look to finally get this move done. How much battery power does Kaposa have left? Kaposa is on 17% in the penultimate lap, and Titus is pushing Kaposa, pushing him to drain that battery so that Titus can take full advantage now. So, for these penultimate laps, Kaposa has to position that car well. Says Tapisa says, I told you Mfundo would show. I told you Mfundo would bottle it. Well, Mfundo has well and truly piled it, becomes the second Aston Martin driver to crash out here, as Man Ray, on just 2 championship points, crashes out. He's out of the reckoning for points here, and potentially well and truly relegated. It's Titus now. He's potentially going to go side by side. He's got the inside line, and he's got that move done on the final lap of the final lap overtake for Titus, and he gets that move done on Kaposa, who fought valiantly, who held on bravely, but it was not enough. And now Kaposa has to hang on for dear life, because it is an entire train of soft tire runners. It's potential heartbreak for Kaposa here, who could have that podium spot snatched away from him by a succession of soft tire runners. But the story of the day has been an insane recovery drive today from Titus Malema. I told you, says C-Clay, Titus will be a problem. 19-lap-old hard tires for Titus Malema, the Haas driver, who's no stranger to managing him. But right now, it's Romeo versus Kaposa onto the DRS straight on the final lap here, as this is one of the final chances to get to take advantage of DRS. Kaposa goes wide as Mando looks to get a cleaner exit, but no, Kaposa shuts the door. He recovers, does Kaposa, on this final part of this track here, where Kaposa is looking for redemption. Kaposa is desperate to get a podium here. Even if Romeo somehow gets this move done, hopefully Zotal would give that podium place to Kaposa. But now, the story of the day, he was late to the lobby, but he's never late for a race win. It is Titus who crosses the line to win in Spain. It's P2, it's podium for Kaposa, and Romeo Mandla Massengo has a redemption arc of note in Tier 1, securing a podium place, securing potentially his place in the playoffs, and will fight among the top running Tier 2 drivers to maintain his Tier 1 spot for next season. Zotal in the other Red Bull finishes in P4, Selby Songo P5, Loveness P6, and Spizoso in P7. It's been an absolute classic out here in Spain. Kaposa on the podium, Mendlo on the podium. Driver of the day, all top 3, says Ronald McPipes. Ron Pipes. C-Clay says, I have no teammates. Man Ray, as things stand, is quite well and truly potentially, well, Man Ray, I assume we could roll out the red carpet. Man Ray is in Tier 2 by the look of things next season.
Welcome to Tier 2, Baba. No, ish. Welcome drink Tier 2. Agune red carpet. It's gonna hemernyana. Kuna makota like yeah, ipati nyanya bo. Mara Tier 2. I know.
Yes, Man Ray will be blind. He will be well, blind, of course, is a South African term for he will be great, so to speak, out in Tier 2. Man Ray well and truly relegated out here. But the big story of today, let's welcome, first of all, it's so good to have these people on the podium. Congratulations, Romeo Mandla Esmendro in the McLaren P3!
Fighting for my life, man. Fighting for my life.
Fighting for your life. Mandla, listen, take us through today. You were head and shoulders the best driver in qualifying. You were looking so good in the first part of it. Just take us through the race and how it is. You ended up having some battles with Spizoso. You recovered and snatched that podium place. Just take us through that qualifying and the race.
Yeah, so basically in quali I told myself that this is where I show my pace, you know, even though I had issues even here and there, but I just wanted to show that I have pace and, you know, strike some fear in some of these guys. Especially those I'm challenging, you know, like your Spizo, your Toposa. congratulations to Stopoza for holding up, man. You know, and Titus with the strategy. We know him is strong on hard tires, you know.
Yeah.
So going to the race, I just told myself I'm not gonna fight anyone. I'm just gonna keep my pace, and I'll let DRS work for me, you know. Spoo was pulling me in the first time, and then I'll pull him. And then the second time, Spicer was pulling me. So I was just using guys for DRS and saving mine for critical moments or if I make a mistake.
That's what we were thinking, watching that battle with you and S. Buddha there. You guys were swapping position. It looked like you were just trying to hang on and spare your battery power. But once he crashed out, number one, did you get a clear view of that crash? I think at that point you might have been leading, yes? When he crashed out? He was chasing you?
No, he was chasing me, and no, I was actually chasing him.
Yeah.
And what happened is, you know, the double apex before the sharp turn. Yeah. Before the final sector, so he went too hard on the throttle there and couldn't control it before he lost DRS zone. You know, so once he crashed out, I knew I had clean A, and once Paizo went into the pit also, I knew that, you know what, let me just focus, not rush anything, stay calm, and I'll definitely get a podium. And I was hoping I'd take Topoza and Titus, you know, on the restart, but I just have to get it to the field.
As it stands, congratulations, man. That was a beautiful qualifying, beautiful drive. You currently have 53 points. Currently, you are the last driver in the playoffs. So there's a lot at stake for you in the final race of the season. But P2, it was heartbreaking to see you lose that lead in the final lap. But man, Kapoza, what a drive. You kept it clean. You struggled to heat up those tires at the race at both the safety car restarts, but of course when you were leading, you managed to hang on. Take us through that race, man. Congratulations. A podium place. It's good to have you here.
Hey, good evening, Mike Tyson and Batox and all the viewers. Yo, what a race, what a race, what a race. The first safety car, I just said, today I'm just sticking stubborn to my strategy of one stopping from mediums to hards. And then I saw that Titus was also doing the same, so I was like, no, I'm staying out. And then the second safety car, Spicer went in, and the field was bunched up too close to each other because there was a safety car recently. So I was like, no, I can't stop for softs now. I'll end up at the back. So on the restart, I managed to get a jump a bit on Titus because I saw that he was swerving left and right a bit. So then I just hit it, and then I think he was 9/10 on the straight. So I tried to keep him at bay, but it's too consistent, especially in the last sector, because that's when I made a mistake in the final lap. Which was entering the final lap, so he managed to pass. But it was a really tough race. I'm just grateful to be on the podium and to have fighting shots, maybe at the playoffs.
Beautifully done, man. You currently have 67 points. That puts you P15 in the standings. That means you are in the playoffs, but you're currently the best placed player in the playoffs. Selby is right behind you on 65 points, and Romeo's on 53 points. So a lot of work, a lot to think about for the final race out in France, Kaposa.
Oh yes, a lot. I think I need to just concentrate on that now. Try to catch. Who's the next person? I'm not sure who's the next.
The next person ahead of you, Kaposa, is Tindo. Tindo is just 3 points ahead of you. So Tindo, having crashed out today, is also at risk of dropping into the playoff spots, as is Enlebo. Tindo and Enlebo are at risk of dropping into the playoff spots. But congratulations, Kaposa. Beautifully done. And once again on the top step of the podium. Yes, Kaposa?
No, I just want to say congratulations to Manda. Didn't buckle under the pressure.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to take me on the softs because he took the softs for the end. And also Titus, we know how Titus is on tires, always consistent, and shout out.
Beautifully, brilliantly done, Mandla and Kaposa on the top step of the podium. A place he's definitely familiar with. He's having an insane end to the season. It's Titus. Congratulations, man. Take us through that race. Insane. Basically from the back to the front of the grid.
Yeah. From all the way from the back. So when the race started, I was, I think, second last.
Yeah.
And I didn't even want to rush into the first corner because I was hoping it's gonna be mayhem. So I kept it together. I was on the mediums, changed to the hards, and then I was like, I'm gonna go to the end. No matter what happens, I'm gonna go to the end with these tires. And so and I really kept it together. But you know, on the last lap, I felt sorry for Koboza, but
yeah. But that was beautifully done on your part. Yeah, last lap overtake. Yeah.
And I could see his battery was flashing. I'm like, okay, there's something less than 20% in there. So, and I had about 80%. So
yes, and we were watching that as well. As Melo says, Titus has an evil laugh. I just wanted to ask Titus. I just wanted to ask: were you deliberately forcing Composer to use his battery so that you could take advantage of? Was that a deliberate strategy for you?
Yeah.
Or would you have overtaken earlier if you could?
No, that was the aim, because I was looking like we had 3 laps to go.
Yeah.
So. And DRS was going to be activated within the last 2 laps, I think. So obviously he was going to push so that I stay outside of the DRS before the DRS actually would kick in. So I knew he was going to use most of his battery. So I just have to keep it cool. And then at some stage I was 1.1 second. Then I just used my ERS a little bit just to stay up within the 1 second time frame. So
yeah. Man, that was brilliantly and beautifully done. Congratulations to the both of you. Kaboza, good luck in your fight to perhaps even secure a Tier 2 finish without playoffs out in France. That would be a beautiful result for you. Titus, you've been absolutely sensational in this final part of the season. We can't wait to see what you do towards the end. Thank you to both of you. And in the comments, Sequay is on a hell of a recruitment drive, trying to woo the Tier 2, the faster Tier 2 drivers to perhaps select him as a potential teammate. Well, Sequay, perhaps you can call one of them a babe, as you were called babe in the comment section a couple of days ago. When you call me baby, I know you'll be my teammate, or something along those lines. But thank you so much. Congratulations, Composer and Titus. We'll be seeing you and Mandla out in France. We cannot wait. Thank you for everyone for joining us in the comment section. Zotal says Titus on hard tires is a menace. Absolutely. Congrats to you, Zotal, on this recovery part of the final part of the season. And guys, we will see you out in France for the next race of Tier 2. Tier 1. Remember, Tier 2 still has to finish their season. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I think they might have more than 3 races to go. So Mondays and Wednesdays, that's when our Tier 2 drivers race. Thank you so much for joining us in the comment section. It's been beautiful. It's been a classic in Spain. For myself, Bob.
No, Protox, of course.
Yes, you Protox as well. It's thank you very much and good night.
Thank you.
Very nice one, Peters. I tried, baby.